Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I'm LJ if you're new to my channel. So today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys my highlight and contour routine. I have a new highlight and contour routine and I wanted to share with you guys all the things that I do to apply the base for my face as far as like foundation, concealer, contour, moisturizer, color correcting, all that stuff. So if you guys are interested, then keep on watching. So I know a lot of people highlight and contour different. I feel like highlight and contour varies based on the shape of your face. Some people have round shaped faces, some people have square shaped faces. So when you're highlighting and contouring, you want to make sure that you're highlighting and contouring based on the shape of your face and not like changing the features of your face. The thing about highlighting and contouring is just to kind of bring out the features that you already have, to exaggerate them. You know, makeup enhances your look. You're not putting on makeup to change how you look, but you're putting makeup on to enhance your beauty. I have a square shaped face, so the way I highlight and contour might be different from people who have round shaped faces. Before I apply anything on my skin, any makeup on my skin, I always moisturize my skin right before makeup. Most of the products that I'm going to be using today are hydrating products. So for moisturizer, I'm going to use the Rose Gold Elixir by Farsali. This is the 24K moisturizing cream. So when I prep my face for makeup, I like using hydrating products instead of oil-based products. I feel like the dewy moisturizers, I usually use dewy moisturizers for my nighttime skincare. And then when I wake up in the morning, I use only hydrating products just because sometimes my skin builds up oils on certain areas of my face when I apply makeup on. So I try to avoid using anything with oil. I've been really loving this cream. I did a review on it, and ever since I got it, I've always been using it, and it's been amazing right before makeup. It's like my go-to moisturizer now. So I always like my skin looking this radiant right before applying makeup. So I'm gonna apply primer now. The primer that I'm gonna use is this Bite Beauty Changemaker. This is the skin optimizing primer, and this primer is for normal to dry skin, so it's the hydrating one. They have one for people with oily skin. I don't think that one is hydrating, so I'm gonna place this on areas that I want to apply my highlight, and then the excess I just kind of like drag it all over my face. So I feel like primer is so important. Some people say, I don't really think you need primer. Like, primer is so important. It helps your makeup last. Alright, so for foundation, I'm into right now like lightweight foundations. I'm not into full coverage foundations like I used to. Before I was like so into full coverage foundations, I like to beat my face. But now I'm into light to medium coverage, buildable medium coverage foundations. So the foundation I'm going to use is this McGrath Labs. This is a Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection foundation in the shade Medium Deep 28. And with this foundation, a little bit goes a long way. I only use one pump of this foundation, and it's a light to medium coverage foundation. So it's just like such a good foundation. It still leaves my skin looking like skin, and that's the type of foundation look I like to go with, because I feel like foundation is a base, okay? It's supposed to just even out your skin tone. I don't like going in with like a lot of foundation because I feel like there's really no purpose of like putting so much foundation, and then at the end of the day you're gonna go in with concealer, you're gonna go in with powder, and then, you know, all those things build up coverage. And sometimes I color correct if I'm using like a foundation that has a little bit more coverage, but I don't usually always color correct. Like with this foundation, I wouldn't color correct with it because it's a light coverage foundation, so you're gonna see that color correcting shade on top of the foundation, which is gonna look really bad. So I'm gonna move on to concealer. So the concealer that I'm gonna use is the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind Concealer. This is in the shade Tan. It doesn't say it's a full coverage concealer, but that's what I think it is. It has like a lot of coverage. So with concealer, the way I like to apply my concealer is I like to give my nose that contoured look, like that natural contoured look. So what I like to do is I like to start like right where the bridge of my nose starts. So I like to draw that line right there so that it looks like this part of my nose is a part of my T-zone area. It slims down your nose. It gives your nose that illusion that it's slimmer than it actually is. So I like to do that and then bring the concealer all the way out till right there. And then I like to just drag it down like this. I don't like to apply the concealer in a triangle shape like this and then come all the way out here, just because I feel like the concealer should look like it's diffusing from when it starts right here. Most of the coverage for the concealer should be around this area right here, and when it's coming down it should diffuse, so it should get lighter and lighter and lighter with the coverage. So I don't like taking my concealer and drawing it all the way out here and bringing it here, like drawing a whole triangle on my face. So I like to just go in under my eyes like that, drag it out, and then once I get there I just lightly bring it down, like spread it out like that, and that's it. Like this is the shape of the concealer I like to do. I also like to bring this concealer all the way down past my nose, just because I feel like this place of my nose should be highlighted as well. And then I'm gonna place some on my chin, and for my chin I don't go all the way down here, just because I feel like the light reflects around this area of my chin right underneath my lip, and then I like to leave a little space like right there, just so that it can also diffuse while I'm blending it out. And then for my forehead, I just like to draw a semicircle like that, and then just fill it in, and then bring it down, bring the concealer down for the nose contour. And literally guys, this is how I apply my concealer. So now I like to let my concealer sit for like about 2 minutes, just so that when I blend it out, it doesn't completely blend out the concealer and then the beauty blender would absorb all the product. I like to let it sit to dry just a little bit, so that when I blend it out, it just blends out, but it's still, you can still see the coverage. So I'm gonna let this sit for like 2 minutes. To blend out my concealer, I like to use a damp beauty blender. I feel like beauty blenders are the best for complexion products. First things first, I like to use a clean beauty blender. You have to use a clean beauty blender because if you don't, the product that's on the beauty blender is going to go onto the makeup that you're applying, and you're not gonna like the finish of the blend of the beauty blender. So make sure that your beauty blender is completely clean, and also it has to be damp, but it can't be too damp to the point where water comes through. Like you guys can see, like you don't see no water coming out of the beauty sponge, but it is wet. Okay, so what I like to do is after washing it, I like to wring it out with a clean towel, and it just gets rid of the excess water. So make sure that your beauty blender does not have any water, because if it does, it's going to absorb all the product. And then what I like to do is I like to start from the outside around this area right here, the area that I want it diffused, and I like to blend that out first. So starting with the edges, bringing it all the way in around this area right here, and then blending this out just so that this area can dry a little bit more. And then for the forehead, I'm gonna use the round part and just press it on there like that, just because that's the shape that I made with the concealer, and it blends it out exactly with that shape. And then what I like to do is go in with the sharp part and blend out the inside just a little bit. I don't like to blend it out too much. And then I bring it all the way up so that I can prime my eyelids so that they all look one color. And if you have discoloration on your eyelids, you want to do this just so that your eyelids can match like your under eye. And you see how now the concealer looks diffused. You can't really see like a sharp line around this area right here. You don't see much concentration of the concealer around here. Majority of the concentration is like right here. And then I'm gonna blend out the nose contour using the sharp part of the beauty blender. All right, so now I'm gonna contour. I don't set my face immediately. Concealer usually doesn't crease if I don't set it immediately. I like to apply my cream products first, then apply powder after cream products. I don't like to apply cream, then go to powder, then come back to cream. I'm gonna just go ahead and contour, and I'm using the Anastasia Beverly Hills foundation stick in the shade Earth. This foundation stick I feel like is perfect for contouring. Most of the time I don't like using concealers to contour. With this foundation stick, it's super easy to blend and it doesn't go on too harsh. So if you're looking for like a soft contour, I would recommend using a foundation stick that is like 2 to 3 shades darker than your skin. So this one is like, I would say like 3 shades darker than my skin. So I just apply the contour in lines like on my forehead like that, and I bring the top forward a little bit, and then the second one a little bit further, and the third one a little bit further. And then I like to place a little bit of contour right there, and then I just drag it one time around my cheekbone area, and then I drag one around my jawline. And then for my nose contour, I like to place a little bit closer towards my eyebrows, like around this area right here, just because I feel like that's where the contour starts. Then to blend out this foundation stick, I like to use a brush. This brush is like an angled shaped brush that is perfect for contour. So you want to use a brush that is the perfect size for your face, and I feel like this brush is perfect and it's super angled. So what I like to do is I like to just blend the forehead first and just shape it. I don't like to bring it all the way towards the front of my forehead just because I feel like it will take away from the concealer. So I'm just darkening around this area right here and leaving this area right here highlighted, and then I like to bring it a little bit towards this area right here and then blend out my cheekbone areas. I just like to go back and forth with it. Sometimes I like to bring it upwards like this, but dragging it back and forth just kind of elongates that contour. You guys can see how super easy it is to blend out this contour. It's so much easier. I really prefer using a foundation stick, and my favorite one is the one by Anastasia. Alright, so for my nose contour, I like using the Morphe E62 brush. It's exactly like the contour brush that I just used, except it's smaller obviously, and it's like perfect for a nose contour. I like using it facing down like this. You see how the nose contour brush, it fits with the shape of my nose, like right here. So what I like to do is I like to drag it upwards towards my eyebrows, kind of get all that excess product towards my eyebrows. Well, not like on my eyebrows, but around this area right here. And then what I like to do is I flip the brush this way, and then I like to drag it down. And then what I like to do is I like to bring it down surrounding the button of my nose. We are not done with the nose contour. I am going to fix these lines with the powder, so we're gonna come back to the nose contour. I like to add a little bit of reverse contour, so I'm gonna use the same concealer. I don't always do this, but sometimes if I'm looking for like a sharp contoured makeup look, I like to do this just to kind of exaggerate my cheekbones. But this is not a step that you have to do. I don't feel like it's necessary, but sometimes I like doing it just so that the contour looks sharp. Then I'm gonna use a beauty sponge just to blend that out. And you want to make sure if you're doing this, like, you blend out this thing like completely. You can't let any product around that area be there because it's going to look ashy. Like, it's gonna look like you didn't dust off your powder around that area. So you want to make sure you take your time to completely blend out this area. Do you guys see how it just kind of like sharpens up the contour? So when I look like this, you can see like my cheekbones are like really sharpened. So next I'm gonna go in with the concealer sponge just to mend the contour and the concealer together. I don't like any harsh lines when I'm blending out my complexion products. I don't like to see harsh lines. So just going back in with the concealer just gets rid of those harsh lines from the contour. And then I like to use a little bit and get rid of the harsh lines on my nose contour. Boom. You don't see any harsh lines anymore. Next, I'm going to set my face. And the setting powder that I've been really liking is this Black Opal Deluxe Finishing Setting Powder. This is in the shade Medium 03. I also really like the Pat McGrath Labs Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Setting Powder in the shade Medium 3 as well. So this setting powder is also really good. But today, I'm going to use the Black Opal Finishing Setting Powder just because I've been really loving it. And it just sets my face like a filter, honestly. So I'm going to use a sponge. So I use a sponge to set my powder just because I feel like it gives that airbrush look. And this sponge is also the same damp beauty sponge that I use to blend out the concealer. Then I'm gonna take the round part and just kind of like clean that up. I'm also going to set my eyelids because we did apply concealer around that area, and this is just going to prep my eyes for eyeshadow. And you want to make sure that you're setting also underneath your eyes because sometimes you get creasing around that area from the concealer. And I also bring this towards like the bridge of my nose, exactly where I applied the concealer. And then I'm gonna place some on my chin area, of course, and completely blend it out. Actually, I used to bake, but then sometimes I just used to bake because I just saw people doing it. So I was like, you know, maybe that's what I'm supposed to do. But I realized if you have dry skin and you start baking right underneath your eyes, it makes that area really uncomfortable. Well, at least for me, sometimes it just makes me feel like taking my makeup off. So I realized baking doesn't really do much for my skin. Setting your skin with setting powder, it can do the job. You don't have to bake. The only time I apply powder and I let it sit there is if I'm applying eyeshadow and I know that the eyeshadow is going to have a lot of fallout. So I apply powder right there just so that it does not fall on my skin. So after applying that setting powder, I like to apply a face powder. This is the MAC Studio Fix powder in the shade NW45, and I just like to use a big round fluffy brush and apply this powder. I don't like applying too much, just so that it's not too cakey. And this is just going to set the areas of your foundation that you did not apply the setting powder. And then lastly, I'm gonna apply bronzer. I really love this step because it really shapes my cheekbones. Right now, my cheeks look contoured, but they don't look bronzed up. So I'm gonna use this Benefit Hoola Toasted Bronzer, and I'm gonna use another angle brush like this and just apply it starting from the front, bringing it upwards just to sharpen up that contour a little bit more and to add warmth back into my skin. And I'm just placing it on all the areas that I applied the contour. And with this area, I just like to bring it around this area right here. I don't like to drag it all the way here. Just around jawline right there, bringing it down a little bit. And guys, that is it for my highlight and contour routine. This is the technique I use to apply my base before doing my eye makeup. And this is exactly how I do it. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish off the rest of my face. And then I'll be back with the final look. All right, so this is my whole face done. And this is how my makeup looks like when I highlight and contour. I really hope this video was helpful for those of you guys who wanted to know how to highlight and contour. For me, I feel like I go really crazy with like concealer, like the coverage of the concealer and contour, but not really for foundation. I like using lightweight coverage foundations just because I feel like if you use lightweight coverage foundations, you can use like full coverage concealers and contours and your skin is still gonna look like skin. This is exactly how I highlight and contour. People highlight and contour differently. Everybody does it different. I've seen some people do it differently and it's come out amazing. And I've also seen some professional makeup artists doing it differently and I'm like, whoa, but the finished results is beautiful. For example, Scott Barnes, when he was doing Tachi's makeup, I was like, wow, if I did that, like it would not come out half as good as his came out. So everybody does it different, and when you do it differently, you have to do it based on like the shape of your face, and you have to make sure that you're also knowing like how to enhance your features, because the point of makeup is to just enhance your features, but you still want your skin to look like skin. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If this video was helpful, please thumbs it up for me so that I know, and also subscribe and join the family because it is free at the end of the day, and also hit the bell so you're always notified of a new upload. But other than that, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.